or the results. So I'm going to use the election day as an example. When people come down to vote, and I do think Mike Lindell saying that they should bring their mail-in ballots. The in-person vote it raises the level of difficulty for cheating if they show up and they don't know whether they're going to send the mail-in ballot in by mail or Dropbox.
No, I totally agree. This conservative thing to vote early is a lie.
When you go to surrender your ballot, it's not going to be that easy because the law says that if you haven't voted, they have to give you a real ballot and let you vote. Problem solved. But if they say someone's already voted for you and you're sitting there with your ballot and your ID and say, well, I don't know who that was. Well, I don't want people going on TV and whining about it and saying the vote was stolen. And what they have to do is we have to collect, and we're going to collect the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of police reports and HAVA reports. And we're going to document that these people, were not allowed to vote. And there has to be a criminal act there. Somebody impersonated them. Somebody put in a ballot. That must be investigated and adjudicated before they can certify.
So some keys from that were, remember, don't vote early, vote in person, it's vital. But then also, if someone has voted for you, which many people found out last time they came in to vote, no, you've already voted, so they give you that provisional ballot, but most of those are never counted. But you need to file a police report right then at that moment. And there'll be more details on his website about that. And then it documents that crime, and they have to investigate those crimes. Because when someone's already voted for you, that means someone committed a criminal act. And so if we can get tens of thousands of those being registered nationwide, they have to deal with all those before they can certify the vote. So it's just one way for us to try to do our part. But I also thought it was so interesting. He said there's 3,143 counties in America, and you only have to corrupt 20 of those to steal a presidential election. It's so rotten. It's so sad. But anyway, this last clip is him talking about illegals, what a key piece of the puzzle they are and why. And then I'll wrap things up.
I want to talk about, we only have a minute, but I want to mention the illegal aliens. And I think that it's a polarizing issue. And one of the things about illegal aliens is one of the last places an illegal alien is on election day is in a polling center. Okay, they're not going to go in and commit a third-degree felony that will get them deported permanently because they feel strongly about one candidate or the other. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I think it will. But the reason they needed those illegal aliens on the voter registration, they've registered in a vote in Pennsylvania and other states. They said, well, come on, get a license. And when you get a license, we're going to register your vote. The illegal aliens aren't the ones doing the voting. They're being voted for. And part of the process that they're trying to denigrate is that before anyone can get a mail-in ballot, by federal and state laws, is they must be a qualified elector. That means they must be a citizen and they must be a resident of the location they're voting in. That's before they can even get a mail-in ballot. So with the corrupt counties and corrupt states, and the DNC and the GOP are both responsible and culpable for this, they're ignoring that law and they're flouting that law. Now here in Delaware County and across the state, we filed federal cases. Federal cases are put into place right now, objecting to election machines that aren't certified, objecting to mail-in ballots being illegally processed, objecting to not cleaning the voter rolls, and they're all in motion. And we're doing these things, but the point here is the problem isn't illegal aliens. The problem is people that are voting for them. By law, an illegal alien can't vote. You can register your pet cat Fluffy to vote. You can register your pet turtle. You can register any breathing being to vote. But that doesn't mean they get a ballot. That doesn't mean they get to be on a voter registration roll. They may be registered to vote, but when it comes down to election day, you have to be a citizen. You have to be a qualified elector and a resident. Now, we have multiple ways of challenging that, and we've been fighting, quite frankly, in corrupt courts, and not all of them are corrupt. What we're looking for is we're waiting and looking for an honest judge, and we're going to find one. and we're waiting and looking for an honest district attorney, and we're going to find one. Of all the times in history, this is the best time to be alive because it's a time of great choices and all the information at people's fingertips. And I think if, God wanted to, make sure that people were fully informed and making decisions between right and wrong and making decisions for their family and making decisions for their future, this is the best time in history to be alive. I wouldn't want it any differently. I think what we have to look at, and people have to engage and participate and restore America, make MAGA, make America great, and the idea of American exceptionalism was a part of our fabric of our country long before President Trump. It's the fabric that President Trump grew up in and became wealthy in, and part of that is people need to feel empowered and engaged. And the reason I'm here today is you are. The small group of people, the big group of people we're fighting is very, very small. When they say the deep state, they make it seem so big that there's nothing you can do, that it's a matter of fate. That's what we're dealing with, is we're dealing with the Wizard of Oz. Once people just take the blinders off, believe your own eyes, believe your own ears. Look at President Trump as someone, he's done everything he could. He can't do anymore. I think that he may even secretly, he wouldn't say it, but I think he may realize that they're going to take the election from him again. And he's done all he could. It's time for us to do something. It's time for the American public to show up. That's what we're asking you to do. If you're sitting on the beach and taking selfies and pictures of what you had for lunch and pictures of your feet,
you got a problem.
The ocean, well, what you're doing is the devil will sit there and anybody, the devil will make people's lives comfortable. Everything's fine until that cage you've created for yourself, the door shuts. And that's it. The country's gone. We're at war. Your children have lost their lives. They've been denied an education. Your parent or your grandparents died alone in a hospital, sitting in a mask, and you couldn't get in the door. If you don't think we're in a fight and you don't think politics matter and you don't think we're at a war, then be happy in your cage and they'll shut it. And, at some point, and then you won't be happy. But if it's so simple, and it is so simple, that if 90% of you show up, go to the poll and vote 90%. That's what we need. Right now, we only get 60%.
I thought that was interesting, too. Most illegals probably won't vote because that's a felony, but the votes that are the registration cards are there that they could use and corrupt the vote with, which is a crime. It's what happened in 2020, 2022 is felony criminal charges against all the people involved, and nothing happened. But we need to pray that God will expose the evil where justice can be served so people see there's consequences to what you do. But I hope this was educational. We need to get involved locally. We need to educate others, one person at a time, share these videos and other things.